Street Beat. You are listening to the Vintage House Show on WNUR 89.3 FM, Evanston, Chicago. We're also on HD1 now. Unfortunately, though, HD1 might not be really working because, of course, um, it looks like we don't have a lot of things going on here at the station. DJ Rocky is in the house with us. I hear
Feedback.
the feedback. Bernie, are you off? Bernie, are you muted?
Muted, but my line
Got it. We got DJ Rocky in the house here. This is the Vintage House Show. We are just hanging out tonight. This is our pre-Thanksgiving show. We're gonna probably not be here next week unless Rocky decides to come through and the OACR studios open up here. But this is the Vintage House Show. You all know what we do. We specialize in preserving and celebrating the history of house music. And for the next few Wednesdays or maybe through the holidays, we're going to have a brand new spotlight DJ, DJ Rocky. DJ Rocky, thank you
Thank
and
you.
welcome to the Vintage House Show team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for Ernest Sanders for
Yes,
making the
absolutely.
introductions, even though you say you've been here before,
Yes,
right?
I've been here
So
before.
talk to me about sort of you were here before. How long ago was that?
Oh, it's been a while. I think it's been either 2 or it has to be 3 years, I believe. Yeah, somewhere around there. I can't. I know it's been within the last 4 years. So yeah. So
Okay, so 2 or 3 years, 4 years or so, and you were here with Lori.
yes.
And how was that? How do you know Lori? How did you make it onto the show?
uh After begging and pleading for so long with the great and talented Mrs. Branch, I don't know. She just decided. She said, "Okay, come on." So I said, "Okay," and I mean, it was an opportunity, and I take all my opportunities as blessings. So whenever somebody gives me an opportunity, I consider it a blessing. So I always tell every time I see Lori, I always tell her thank you.
Well, you know, when you come on and you're with Lori Branch, that generally means you're a pioneer. That means you've been around for a little bit.
Well, I've always had a saying. That word legend and pioneer for me is just a word. I mean, because in doing this, just like the house music itself, it has to evolve, and you evolve with it. So I mean, it's just that's how I always see it as. I mean, there are people that again because they've been around as long as I have, they get the utmost. Well, I'll put it this way: I try to do my best to make sure everybody gets the utmost respect. However, with the people who have been around with great longevity, I show greater respect for because you know at any point in time it could stop. So, and you have to appreciate the people who put their passion and love into it. So,
Well, the great thing is that um, house music is a business. I don't know if
yes,
it's a good or a bad thing. And some people have longevity. There's companies that last for 100, 200 years, and there are companies that last for 10,
correct.
and then they're out. So it's about planning, it's about perseverance, about timing, all those different things. It's a very much the same type of sort of situation as I see it.
Hmm.
Um, but talk to me a little bit. Normally on the Vintage House Show, it really forms, and again, I thank all of our listeners and viewers. The Vintage House Show was formed again to celebrate and preserve, but we really want to celebrate both the lives and careers of house music pioneers, or those people who are involved in the house music industry, because all of those things are important. Oftentimes we see the DJs. Back in the day, we saw the DJs. We didn't know who they were. We didn't care. I didn't care.
It's just about the music.
It was about the music, right?
Absolutely.
But to be in this business for such a long time, I thought it was important, and certainly as we try to solidify Chicago as the birthplace of house music and make that sort of something that is internationally known, it's always good to know who the people are who have brought
Mm,
the music forward. So
mm,
we I like to start, and I'm sure we did before, with sort of your Chicago story or your history generally.
okay.
Talk to me about where you were born, where you grew up, grammar schools, high schools. Give me all the details.
Okay. I am a West Side born
West
Presbyterian.
Side?
No, but that was only for the day that I was
Oh,
born.
okay.
So
I
Presbyterian St. Luke's, because we can't even, we don't even say Presbyterian St. Luke's anymore. But
know, but the old people remember that.
right,
There you
exactly.
go.
I am a South Side native, Inglewood to the day I die. So
Inglewood
yes,
love, yes.
absolutely. I had the fortune of my mom and dad wanting to put me through Catholic school my whole life. So
Okay.
Catholic school, my Catholic grammar school was St. Martin de Porres, right on the corner of 59th and Princeton. We were known for having the Golden Horse.
What's the
Um,
golden horse? What's that?
we had we actually had a sculpture that was on top of the church made into a it was a golden horse basically. They spray painted it gold. And you could see it all the time. So yeah.
Got it.
So
That's
um,
sophisticated. Okay,
yeah. I
got
mean,
it.
I have no idea where that horse is now because that church is long gone.
Oh
Yeah. Well, it's the product of development. So
the
when you
real
start,
world of
yeah,
Chicago and their schools. And then
absolutely.
everything is gone, basically. Yeah.
What was is no longer, basically.
Got you back.
Then I had the opportunity of being blessed to go to Quigley Seminary. Wait,
Quigley!
no, you gotta do it right. Quigley Seminary Preparatory South High School. Okay.
All right.
So,
Love to Quigley.
yes,
Always love to Quigley. Definitely loved going to the parties twice a year there. So
yes.
that was cool.
So I mean, I was, to give you a little side background, my mother passed when I was 8, so it was just me and
Sad.
my dad because I'm an only child. So,
Okay.
and my dad happy. I mean, at that point in time, my dad could have easily said, "Okay, public school, I'm going to public school," but no, he put me through Catholic grammar school and high school. So he wanted to make sure that I was provided the best at the time. So, went to Quigley, did my 4-year bid in Quigley Prison. Um, and then I actually went to, well, the school was called Niles College. It was a part of Loyola. It was a separate campus where you learned or you were on the path of choosing to become a priest.
Okay.
So my development at that time was to go and be a priest, but didn't work out that way for me. So on the DJ side, I've been DJing since 1982, 81, probably 81.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't start out in house music. I started out in playing blues and jazz at the time. My dad had me playing at this little lounge. Now, mind you, I'm 13 years old playing in a lounge on Sunday afternoons during the summer,
Okay.
2 hours a day, 2 hours on every Sunday, just playing blues and jazz. So I got myself acclimated to DJing itself. House music fell into my lap really, probably when I was about 15. I um, I met Frankie Knuckles by chance and didn't know who he was at the time, and later it developed into oh, I know who you are now, and now I've learned this type of music, and I started playing the music then. So my vintage house history starts at about 86, so
That's a good year. That's a
85,
mighty good year.
86, yeah.
Talk to me though. So people say, I met Frankie Knuckles. So you can't ride by that. Where'd you meet Frankie Knuckles?
Um, my dad got me into this record pool because again I was DJing, so he had me learn the whole process, which to me, I'm still trying to wonder how did my dad know how to do the DJ stuff because he was a music lover, but not a DJ. But he got me into a record pool. This record pool was on Roosevelt, and I just happened to be in one day going to pick up my blues and jazz, and Mr. Knuckles was there. I called him Mr. Knuckles at the time because the difference of age group, but it started out funny because he inadvertently flirted with me, and I didn't know how to take it at 14 years
It
old.
went over your head a little.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, and I mean the conversation was real short at that point in time because I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know who he was. But it was like as soon as he walked out the door, the guy behind the counter was like, "Do you know who that is?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a DJ." He said, "No, no, no," and then he gave me the logistics of Mr. Knuckles, and so I didn't see him for about 6 months after that. Maybe we just missed times in going into this place, but about 6 months later, we happened to be in the same place again, And I was like, Mr. Knuckles, this, that. He said, no, 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 call me Frankie and disregard the way we met. And I mean, but it's just so funny because when he used to do the parties at um, House of Blues, um, whenever he would see me in the crowd, he called me Blue Eyes, and he would get on the mic, and I was like, "Oh
Do you
God,
have blue eyes?
yes, I do."
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
It's dark in here in these
that's,
studios. I
that's
can't see. But so you're going to be a host here,
yes.
DJ
Well,
Rocky.
hopefully, yes.
The goal is for you to be a host. So what I'm going to do is what I'm going to ask you to do when you talk to your guests. You are leaving out some serious details as we are historians and archivists. We preserve the music.
Okay,
You just said you met Frankie at this pool somewhere on Roosevelt. We
okay.
need way more details.
Oh, I
So
can't
you
even
were at
tell
this
you the name of the
record pool.
pool. I was a
Where
record
what
pool.
record? Think about this. Roosevelt. What was it? West Side
Oh
Roosevelt?
no, no,
Was it downtown Roosevelt? Where
it
were we?
was it was I call it more downtown South Loop.
Okay.
It was. I mean, I could give you the visual. But I just can't tell you the address. There used to be on the main floor because this was all on the second floor. On the main floor, it was a sock and clothing place
Okay.
on the
Okay.
main floor, but you had to go up around the side and up the stairs in the back to the
So is that Roosevelt like Jefferson? Is that
correct
Roosevelt like
about Jefferson. Yeah,
about
because
Jefferson over
hmm
there? So there used to be an armory right there,
yes,
and then it was now it's a beautiful grocery store, power center is
yeah,
what us
it's
in retail
a
say.
whole bunch. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's a very different ballgame. It used to be nothing and very dormant and vacant over there.
it was
So right
all
about there. So you're really South Loop,
yes,
Darkland Northwood. So
yes.
that's interesting. If y'all know where that is, give me some details. I need some info on. If y'all know the name of that record pool, exactly where it is, give it
Yeah,
to us
please, because
because
I
we want
don't
to preserve
remember.
that information.
I have,
That's info we need.
I mean, it took me forever to actually find, like I said, because the summers I played at a lounge called Club 666, and no one knew where it was because literally it was gone by 1988. So nobody really knew about it. But
Ooh,
I mean, it was literally a hole in the wall. I mean, but it was a beautiful place to play because I got opportunity to learn music. I mean, I learned a lot of music playing blues and jazz with that. So yeah.
everything was a hole in the wall. There was a lot of
Back
holes in the
then,
walls, and
absolutely.
our goal is to make sure we,
Don't forget it.
yeah, don't forget that hole in the wall. See if we
Absolutely.
can find some artifacts that prove that hole in the wall was there.
I found a
Absolutely.
picture,
Ooh,
and I was actually surprised because it's so funny because it's actually in a couple of movies. Yeah,
the pictures in a couple of movies.
the actual the actual place is actually in Running Scared. You remember the movie with Gregory Hines and what's his name? What's his name? What's his name? I can't remember his name now. Anyway, they were cops in Chicago. They're
Okay.
chasing somebody down the little side street, and clearly you could see 666. I was like,
Oh
wow.
wow, we gotta find that.
Yeah,
That's a great story. We're gonna have to
I
get
was so
that movie and check it out. I'll do that over the
totally
Thanksgiving holiday.
surprised. Yeah,
So I want to give some love to Jesse. Jesse, thanks for listening and thanks for telling us you all just won the Dance Music Scene Award for Best Event. I did see
congratulations.
that. That is fantastic. And I saw something that came through on an email that said vote or something, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. E, did you see that at all? Did you see there was a Dance Music Scene Award? I did see that. So congratulations. What else were you all? Who else was in the competition? I need to see the whole roster of the people who were nominated.
The
So that's great.
competition, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's going on? All right. So you started. You were clearly in a record pool at age 14, 15. You ran into Mr. Knuckles, and then you saw him again. And you're saying from that point your DJ career was born, or what happened
Well,
from that
my
point?
house
Yeah.
music side was born. It
Okay.
was it took me to a different level of when I started to do house music because again, with the genre being so fresh and new at the time, there was so much available to learn, and that was the greatest thing. I mean, you had everybody was putting out music at that time. You had Jesse, you had Frankie putting out stuff, you had Trax Records, you had a bunch of stuff that was just coming out, so that it flooded real fast. I mean, I picked up on the stuff real fast in regards to learning the music and learning how to play the music. I mean, I think the biggest presentation about your DJing is the story you tell when you play. So, I mean, and then back then, because no one had an original story. Well, everyone created their own original story basically.
Mhm.
So it was a much easier process to play then. I think it is then than it is now
Okay.
because I mean, it's with the different genres of the way house music has come to where it is now compared to back then, it was just house music. It wasn't categorized to hear it in different places. It was just house music. So when you go in and when you go in and get your pool records, you just pick the ones you want, but they were all house music. So, yeah. So I mean, at that point in time, you get to develop yourself at that time. So you created who you were. So yeah.
Which is really, I think that's really interesting. And I'm really interested to go back a little bit about sort of the record pools back in that day. So there you're at one on Roosevelt somewhere in Jefferson, certainly imports,
Imports,
certainly all these others. I think
DJ
Gramophone, by the way,
International, yeah,
is
all
not
that.
a not a pool, but Gramophone celebrating 50 years this year. They just had an
Congratulations on that.
article.
Yeah.
Thanks for Mike Serafini, who's a WNUR DJ. I don't think he's been back since COVID. Not
Okay.
sure if he's coming back, but um, I do, sort of recognize that these things were very important. These pools were
Absolutely.
important. We belong to a pool here. Of course, we got all of the music here first, but I didn't realize that our DJs were just going down to imports and picking up all the things and
Yeah.
bringing them here. I thought they were all sort of shipped immediately here, but I think some things were, but some things they went down and actually
Oh, and you'd have
got
to,
from the
and you,
States.
yeah, you'd have to, and sometimes because the pressings and stuff, they, for example, if they only got so many in at a time, you'd have to get down there fast
Right.
to get your stuff because you don't get it. You have to wait until they issue another press out or if they're coming in next week or whatever. So I mean, the biggest thing about the competition back then was making sure you got yours first, so you can introduce it first. So
Right. I know that was critically important. So you decided that house music, and again, I hate to keep going backwards, but
that's right.
jazz and blues, jazz and soul. What'd you say? What were you playing?
Jazz and blues on
Jazz and
Sundays. Yes.
blues. I just ran across this wonderful Bronzeville Walk of Fame,
Okay.
and it's on King Drive between, let's say, 29th Street and 35th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even tell you how I was walking down King Drive. It was something I was doing with a group of people, and we ended up walking down King Drive. I never would have seen this. It's been there since 1995 or 1996. And there was a gentleman there who was highlighted named R.B. or R.L. Benson.
Okay.
He was a blues 1940s, 1950s. I think his career was over by 1963 or something. I said in the Wikipedia that I found. It said this man was a six-figure blues DJ. Blues was everything in this town,
Mm-hmm.
right? He
Absolutely.
was heralded. He was making six figures back in that day in an arena in which there weren't that many black people who were DJs. The thing that stood out to me as I looked at that was that I have no idea who this guy is now. But for me not seeing this little diamond in a piece of concrete, never ever
Would have
would have
known.
known who this
Yeah.
person was.
Yeah.
And that says something about how the genre has basically been erased as a powerhouse, certainly in this town. Blues was making people six figures, and he was just a DJ. And now he's erased. I have no idea who he
Well, I
is.
think the biggest thing about the music industry for us in Chicago is that we do our best to preserve it as long as possible. And it it tends to, and I wouldn't even the thing about people Mr. Mr. Benson and other people, it comes back around. It just takes time for it to remanifest itself. I mean, with the way the music industry goes, everything's based on what's hot right now. Da, 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 da. So I think a lot of the times, and especially when I've talked to specific producers and stuff, if you want to make it better, you want to improve it, especially with house music, you say you incorporate.
Gotta get you back in the
Oh,
picture.
you
Yeah.
incorporate you incorporate the other genres into it. So
Mhm.
when you have a mixture of R&B house and you have back in the day hip house, so now there's certain producers out here like there's a David Britton who does a BB King track where you introduce the music and you reintroduce it through a different genre. So I mean, it's just it's been proven it just recycles
It
itself,
recycles itself.
but you just have to find a way to get it recycled back in. So I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm concerned. You know, it just concerns me because again, you know, if these the great thing about music genres is again, it does sort of reemerge in unique ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So disco didn't die. We created new beats around it and brought it to another level.
Correct.
House music is not dead. It's hip house. It's gospel house. It's all these things. It sort of transforms itself and does great things. Blues as well. So they electrified the blues. Europeans love the blues.
Yes,
The Beatles
absolutely.
love the blues. Lots of people, and then it becomes rhythm and blues or rock and roll. It becomes other thing.
Correct.
However, I am concerned with some of these pioneers, which is why I'm so desperate to preserve history. This pioneer of DJ, I bet you, who are these other DJs in the world who know who this guy is? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just it just concerns me a little bit that I happen to learn that today,
Right.
and it just makes me sad sometimes. You know what I mean? You're
Well,
like,
and then I wouldn't because then the best thing to be done is to give acknowledgement when you learn.
exactly,
And then that
exactly.
way, again, because you found out today and now you're talking about it on here, somebody else didn't know about it, and you've already expanded his legacy even more.
I hope so. And please,
Yeah.
everyone, check out my Transforming Urban. Oh no, it's on the Finders Plus Real Estate's Facebook page. I put the pictures, few of the pictures of that Bronzeville Walk of Fame on there. It's really interesting, and some of these people I didn't know who at all. Again, there are some business people. Mr. Fuller, somebody in Fuller Products. He was
Mm-hmm.
heralded. I don't know what Fuller Products was. Someone did send me the Wikipedia page for that too, and I was like, "Who is Mr. Fuller? Does Mr. Fuller still have? And is the Fuller Products company still going? Did it die? Was it renamed? Did someone buy it? I'm always like, black businesses, black music, black excellence should be preserved and heralded. And I'm always sad when I see things disappear and we don't have a plan for its continuation, which is why we do the Vintage House Show.
Absolutely.
All right, so you become a house music DJ. You're at Quigley, which is house music central. There's a bunch of house music going on there. Certainly, some of the better parties for young people like myself was Mendel, Quigley. Certainly,
Yes.
if you want to be in that flow.
Mendel, Hales, Quigley. There was
The Hales have parties.
Hales had parties. They did. There are a ton of Hales DJs. Mickey Calvin being one. There's a couple of them. They didn't flourish as much as probably as Mendel would. I mean, Mendel was the mecca, so Mendel would always be considered the mecca of house
Oh
music.
my
So,
God, how did I not know that? That just drives me
so I mean, but like I
bananas.
said, they didn't do it a lot. So again, like with Quigley, we did it twice a year.
Mhm.
Maybe Mendel, I mean, Hales might have thrown one here and there. They
Okay,
weren't consistent with it, but I mean, they did throw parties. I mean, it just wasn't as consistent as
got
with
it.
a lot of the other
I
places.
wasn't the Catholic school person. I didn't know much about.
Unity,
All I
Longwood.
knew was
Yeah.
Mendel is the party. And Quigley, I never would have known but for their parties. So
Right.
my sister went to Catholic schools, but not me. I guess I wasn't good enough. We
Longwood was
ran out
another
of
one too.
money.
Academy of Our Lady.
Did
Yeah.
they have parties too?
Yes, I was their DJ. So.
Ooh, do you have some? You have old flyers for that or no?
Oh no, that's
Oh man.
again. It's my passion. It's never been my career.
Hmm.
So it's hard for me to maintain stuff. Plus, on a personal note, there was some stuff that's going on in my family that a lot of the stuff that I had as a child is no longer around anyway.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. What do you mean by that?
Well,
Family moving.
my father decided to marry right before he passed away, and the lovely woman that he married, uh, anyway, it went south once he passed. So,
Oh,
but life is life. So
so that I forget which pioneer we were in his basement, etc. Just I don't have much stuff. My first wife threw everything out.
yeah.
Like that kind
So
of thing. It's always something like that,
right.
which is
So
why it's so important that we talk to
preserve it
people
and
now
find out
about
exactly.
why, again, we've not been taught to believe there's value in Black history. As a matter of fact, there's been rules and things, again, I think Europeans have told us that, there's
Right.
nothing about your history or about your personhood, about your being
That's
that we should
important.
be respected.
Right. That's not
And that's why
important.
you're three
Right.
fifths of a person. So
Mm-hmm.
we internalize that and we don't protect our own thing. So we don't even realize it's important to keep those pictures. And that means just not just the pictures of the stuff you did, that you thought were fun, but anything, you know what I mean? So we
Exactly.
don't believe that's important, even the stories are important. So DJ Rocky, I appreciate you accepting the challenge of being a Vintage House Show Spotlight DJ. And you were talking to me a little bit about, sort of the kind of show you'd like to have, like what you'd like to sort of focus on. Talk to me a little bit about that and why.
Well, again, because because of the conversation that we're having now, it's important to understand that um, over the last 30 or 40 years, we have had a ton of great DJs that have not actually gotten the opportunity, and or I won't even say opportunity because they gotten opportunities because I've seen them, but just maybe put them in a bigger spotlight to be seen and heard. Um, it's I love the DJs that are out there representing us, but I think the opportunity to get more opportunity for other available DJs sometimes is lacking. So I think it would be I think one of the good things I like to do is I would like to introduce more people or introduce a DJ to more people than he's known or she's known for that for the, for because it's good. I mean, talent wise or anything like that doesn't really matter to me. It's just the opportunity for someone to say, you know what, I turned on the show the other day and I heard DJ Rayco, and I've never heard of Rayco before, and he's really fabulous. I'd like to find out if he's playing somewhere or anything. So it's big. I think it's. I mean, a lot of times back, when we were coming up, everything was based on opportunity.
Exactly.
So for anyone to be successful, there's the more opportunity that you were given. So I mean, so being able to open a door or just even cracking the door for somebody is good. So.
That is what the spotlight is all about, by
Hmm.
the way. So that is a perfect way to, I'm happy that you see it that way and that that's important. I mean, the key for us is that if the genre is going to continue and be robust, then you need both young people and mature adults who know the music to continue to play, to continue to get exposure, to continue to share. Everyone, music is something that doesn't have, sort of a beginning or end or something. You can come up with something at 90 years old and it could be a hit. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a
Absolutely.
lyric or a beat or something like that. And
Absolutely.
so I feel like, we want to make sure that people are exposed and if they have interest, then they can share what their passion is here. And this is the perfect place to do it. I mean, it's a small college radio station that did really introduce a lot of people to the radio. A lot
Hmm.
of the superstars of today started right here. It's just a good way to get started, get some exposure, let people know where you are, that kind of thing. And luckily, though, there are sort of places to, I mean, now with technology, you can be exposed everywhere, which is great, that kind of thing. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
things you can do. But it is also good to have a few, a place like a actually on air radio station, making sure that, whatever you want to create is out there in the world on the airways. You never know who might pick it up. We are also on WNUR.org, so you can also find us there too.
Hmm.
I think that's great.
I mean,
So
I would give a big shout out to COVID because COVID actually gave the opportunity for DJs to learn how to do internet shows
that
and
is
stuff
so
like that.
true.
Yeah,
That is so
I
true.
mean, the way we've developed over the last 2 years in regards to exposure to things that you've never seen before, only because you had to stay in a house. And I mean, it actually gave DJs time to sit there and learn how to maybe not reinvent themselves, but to re-educate themselves on another way of exposure. So it was, I mean, thank you, COVID, but
Yeah, it was a unique experience. I feel like for us, we had always been doing this show and, on Facebook Live, like just one little thing, and we just pivoted from one thing to
right.
another, but it wasn't a big deal. I immediately recognized, so when we were done, when all they shut this whole place down, of course, we couldn't even come up here. But I was like, I'd already had a guest scheduled. You know what I mean? I was
Hmm.
like, haven't I seen something on the web where
Yep.
people were just talking? And so I literally did a whatever. and got ourselves just put ourselves on the Facebook page and just had the conversation. I was like, and this was a gentleman who it was Kendall. Oh God, why did I forget Kendall's last name? But he was in Atlanta in the first place. He wasn't going to be spinning anyway, that kind of thing.
Right.
I was like, we could just have a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
honest, and we never missed a beat. And so we just kind of kept going, and just brought people in virtually, and what a blessing! It kept us alive.
Exactly.
I have
Exactly. This
friends
is.
who say that Vince Lawrence, not Vince Lawrence, Vince Adams was their savior.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yeah.
he came on, and people loved him. And I think Alan King had these hour-long shows.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
is
Alan
that getting
does.
kind of
Oh
played
my
though?
God, Alan does 5, 6
Yeah,
hours
he's
now.
on forever.
Oh
Is
my
that getting kind
goodness.
of played though? I mean, I'm kind of. I will tell you, we continue to do this show, which is great. It's only 1 hour, once a week. So we continue to do it. Just want to continue to bring people on. But I personally now I don't want to look at
A screen.
a screen anymore. It's very difficult. Like I'm not desperate to do that. I want to hear the music, but I definitely don't want to look at the screen and hear all of that stuff. How are you? Are you getting? What are you thinking about that? Because I see people still doing their Twitch shows.
Oh yeah, I
People are
do
still
mine.
doing
I
all
have one.
those.
I do
Everyone's
every.
doing it,
Oh,
including
absolutely,
us.
absolutely. See, for me, the internet is an avenue to reach people that you don't know. So, of course, when there's stuff that goes on in Chicago, absolutely, go to the event and enjoy it.
Right.
But we're also not spring chickens anymore. You know,
Are
we're,
you not a spring
yeah,
chicken?
no, I'm a fall turkey. I'm gonna tell you that now. So, I mean, the going out. I mean, when we were in our 20s, we would go out Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. 4 nights a week.
Right.
There's some nights you just don't want to go out, but you still want to enjoy the music. So, again, this gives you another avenue to do it with. And like I said, because not everybody's going to do it anyway. So you learn about a new DJ that you've never known before. So I mean, it has its pluses and negatives. I mean,
I think it does.
when
It's
you want
just
to go out, of course. I mean, yeah, go out, enjoy yourself. I mean, there's always going to be opportunity. I mean, as we opened back up, of course, Mike Dunn is on as Ed Reynolds on Tuesday now. So and
It's real.
absolutely.
Shut up! I did not know that.
So yeah, so I mean, Mike Dunn is there. So I mean, you get the opportunity to go back out, but now
Sometimes you don't
like
want to do it.
yeah,
I
sometimes
think
you
we
don't.
have to elevate it though. I feel like even this show. I want you to think about this as well, Rocky, because I think again when we're out. At first, at one point, it was good just seeing a DJ behind turntables, not doing anything, just talking to you, right?
Right.
What's up, bye bye. Vince is basically talking throughout his entire show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like at some point, again, Alan is just sort of spinning and saying a few things. It's like,
Here and there,
right,
yeah.
exactly. Now I'm like, how do we elevate that experience? Because I'm kind of turned off that whole sort of watch a DJ just spin. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like that's just it's no fun anymore. I mean, what else can we do? And I think I want you to think about that here too, because eventually all of this will be working.
Right.
You have this going, we have this going. There's a lot going on because you do have to do this. If you want to spin or let other people spin and have other people come in and do whatever it is they want to do.
Okay.
And that includes live stuff too. If got someone who wants to do live music, house, whatever that kind of thing is, we have this show called Airplay, which we come back on Fridays. They can do it here anytime during your show, even though it's only an hour.
Okay.
But I will say that how do we elevate this instead of just watching us sort of do this? How are we going to elevate this so that maybe there's some activity, maybe there's something else? We used to dance in here all the time. We used to kind of party in here, have a gang of people in here,
Mm-hmm.
which we're not supposed to because it's COVID. But I think that still, if no one's here now, so we can kind of kick it a little bit. But
Right.
how do we elevate sort of these experiences now, utilizing both the technology and our ability to be creative, use the music? How can we make it different, special, better? What do we bring to it?
Oh, I think one of the biggest things now is we a lot of times we focus so much on the DJ. I think the biggest thing about this is you can be the greatest DJ ever, but if there's nobody there, who knows? So to me, the importance of all of this is the dancer and the person and you don't even have to be the all out dancer. You could just be the two stepper.
Mm-hmm.
If he two steps to your music all night, you have somebody. If you have somebody just even maybe they don't even get up and dance. They could be sitting down and all they do is tap their toe all night. But
Right.
they're enjoying the music.
They're doing their thing. Right.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly. So to me the importance of all this anyway is the dancer or if you want to call them the general public. That's the most important thing. I mean,
Mhm.
because again, none of this happens if nobody's there to listen to it.
I
So
agree.
and that's just the way it's always been. I mean, again, I've it's amazing to see certain DJs do certain things to a crowd of five.
Right. It's
But then you got other DJs playing to 5,000. And even if you're doing 5 or 5,000, you're supposed to put your best out there always. So that's really important. But they are really influenced, or a DJ gets all of his momentum off the crowd.
mhm.
If they're feeling it, he's feeling it, and they're gonna always enjoy it. So I mean, so I think it should be a way to incorporate the dancer into this as well. So, and I understand about the COVID thing. I mean, so maybe if we invite a DJ up here, and there are some people that follow that DJ, you know, bring a friend.
Bring a friend. I'm a big fan of
Hmm.
bringing a friend. I
Yeah.
want to make this more exciting. I want to think about. I
Hmm.
want you to think about. I'm open to ideas. Challenge me and us with ideas or different things we can do to elevate the Vintage House Show and the spotlight. Let's really try to do our best to do something a little bit different, bring some new conversations to this as well,
Hmm.
young and old thoughts, discussions, but more music, more fun up here. Again, back in the day, this is going to be a long drive for you as well,
Absolutely.
and I consider my drive long. I complain to Ernie day and night. First of all, Ernie complains to me day and night about this trip. And the best thing for me when I would come in is I would come in, and sometimes I didn't even have to come in, but I would come in, and the minute someone started playing, you immediately realize, God, you just
This
love
is
the
this is what I
music,
came
right?
for.
Exactly, just
Exactly.
partying and just
Absolutely.
enjoying. And then I love you all stories. When Lori's asking you questions, your background story is so important and so
It
not
tell
just important, but
it
it's
tells you
so
who you are and how you got where you at. Absolutely.
exactly, and it's
Hmm.
so interesting to me. I don't know how people don't love history. I mean, I just love it so much, and I just really enjoyed coming here. So we used to party, kick it. We would just be there, just having such a good time. And I really feel like we really need to bring that back. Now we did have these rules and regulations, which I'll share with you at some point. But we're also supposed to have two people in the studio after COVID. I think we've expanded that a little bit. We're supposed to have these masks on, which I'm certain we have on our invisible masks
Right.
today, right now. But
Yeah. Of course.
all
Yeah.
vaccinated up in here. But I think that you know, whatever, I always feel like when I'm looking at now Vince and all these other people, and they're exercising at Vince's thing and doing all these other things, and it's still kind of exciting for them, but I've kind of tuned out a little bit, and I don't
Hmm.
want that to happen with us. I am dedicated to having the Vintage House Show until at least 2023
Okay.
because that will celebrate 40 years of the Street Beat Show.
Okay.
And this is a part of the Street Beat time frame, by the way. So Vintage House, WNUR, of course, has jazz and rock and all these other genres, but Street Beat is for hip hop and house. And I was very close to the beginning of its inception in 1983, and I do believe that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure Northwestern brings in every single Street Beat DJ, celebrate them. To They were a part of making it
Hmm.
40 years.
Make the foundation. Absolutely.
Exactly. There's shows that do not exist anymore that WNUR had. There was a world music show, the reggae show. I don't know if they're still around, but things are gone. So we're very blessed to have this still here. I'm happy that we have this show so we can bring on these people who used to come on as teenagers and now can come on as superstar,
Hmm.
celebrities in the world of house music. So, but to keep it going, we have to do something different. You got some ideas, E? What you doing over there?
Working.
So Ernie's been here since the beginning, basically. I can't remember. Gosh, Ernie, we do need to do a little history lesson on you
Yeah,
as
I
well.
believe I was her first guest.
So
One of
you
her
weren't our
first,
yeah, you weren't the first guest because we were. I
first
came
guests.
here the first time we did this. It was just Lori, DJ Terry Bristol, me, and Charles Matlock, and we did that because we had an event for SimFest. The second thing we did, it was the second event that we had. I don't think it was just me, right? Didn't I ask? Did I just? Was it just me? Was that? Were we here before Kirk Townsend did a show with Mikey Zibuku, and then he did a show with all the chosen few? Was it after that or before that? You saying we were here before that?
I think we did. I think I was here one time with Kirk, but it wasn't with the chosen few. Maybe it was.
He might have been
Maybe
after
maybe
that.
it was.
So, but you've been here since I remember us coming here, having to go to Best Buy to get things so we can hear.
Yeah, we had to go buy the
We've had quite
headphone
a situation
and
here.
the connectors.
Right. And the show has evolved. This show has evolved. But I want to think about,
Yeah,
again, using multiple cameras, having someone move cameras around, like, you know what I mean? Like having an
Mm-hmm.
actual camera person.
Right.
We can do this, but you can also, we can have this move as well, bring on different cameras in different places, etc. Because, we have different ways to do that. But again, I just want you to be creative. Our media manager is Justin, who you saw earlier.
Okay.
Hey Justin, I think he's still out there. So I think I just want us to just think differently about what we're able to do here. So, how does this scare you at all? That somehow you come here and everything is like dead? What do you think when you come over here and see like
Well, I
this
mean,
craziness?
I have had some radio experience before, so
Mhm.
it's. I mean, again, to me, it's just like DJing. You just have to learn what's put in front of you to work with. So, I mean, I don't walk in and go, "Oh my
Oh my
God,
God, what are you gonna
what
do?
am I doing? Don't touch
I
that. Don't
know.
touch no, no. I mean, I mean, it's just learning the logistics of what has to go on. I mean, to me, it's not a problem. So knowing knowing every little detail probably will never happen. Knowing the things I need to know exactly what it is to make it successful, I can work on that. So
Very good. Well, again, the entire board here have gone down. And so I think it was probably someone probably had to try to figure out what was
mhm.
actually working here. But coming to WNUR is always a wonderful exercise in uh, seeing what works. Okay, so sometimes the decks over there aren't working. You have to figure out how to get everybody on. It's always something. Someone's late. You got to put something on, and then putting everything on. Then we've had 10 or 12 people over. We have to put them all in studio two. That kind of
Wow.
thing, which
Okay.
we'll do. If you look back at some of our things, you'll see all the different things we've done. But it's always a challenge here because there's young people here, so they're not supposed to be drinking. All of a sudden, people spill stuff on this, and of course, all this goes out.
Ooh.
This is really crazy right now. Yes, because again, this has no source anywhere. Like nothing is supposed to
Nothing.
be working here. Luckily, we are on the air. I see that people can hear us a little bit. Although I think they hear you better than me. My sound might be worse than. Ooh, yeah, my sound is worse
Wow.
than
Okay.
yours. But
Yeah. Yeah. Because mine. Yeah. I'm
yeah, yours
talking.
is
Yeah.
way better. But everything here, there's always something that is challenging here. So you can always, it's hard to get out, but you can always text, call, and someone will be able to help you do something or just play around with things at any time.
Okay.
And, with our technology, it's just you just have to hope for the best, right? Like
Exactly.
we will always
Exactly.
have you on our Twitch, our Facebook, and our YouTube page. And, we really just sort of look forward to doing some creative things. Ernie, again, you're here, so I'm going to bring you into this conversation. But how have you seen the show grow? You have been here, and this is just a new evolution of the Vintage House Show. You've been here since the 2015s, or maybe before that. I can't remember, but 2015s. How do you see? How do you think it's grown? You
Right
got to
there.
look at it.
The show has been really great. I think the social cohesion is extremely important, especially in a pandemic. Folks have been socially isolated, and we're told to separate and not be close to one another, practice social distance, and that whole we're social beings, and so
Especially
to
house
have
heads.
to yeah, especially house heads,
Especially.
and to have an outlet that allows us to continue to be social, like the radio show, to me has just been very important, and it has gained some momentum in that. And so, to have the widgets here, available for us to make music.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of have them available,
Today.
but that's what DJs do. You know
Right.
that
Plug in. I don't know how you do those big
we,
stadium things, like all those
yeah,
wires. How do you think this
we
things
just
get into
we
this
figure it out.
frequency? Yeah,
We
that's crazy.
absolutely figure it out. I do this part time at church, and so there are always issues that we
Mhm.
face, and we just figure it out.
That's true. Ernie,
So
we
yeah,
were blessed enough to see this wonderful documentary on house music. It's called The Woodstock of House. It was about the chosen few DJs.
I
yeah,
have yet to see that. I want to see that.
It was
yeah. It
wonderful.
was
Come back
great.
in. It was wonderful.
I
I
haven't.
felt like it was
It
great. And I
was
think
really good.
this, I really honestly, I will, not to toot our own horn here, and I say our own horn, but I believe that the work that we've done here, certainly using Lori and Kevin as hosts who are super pioneers,
Hmm.
it's made all these DJs recognize that their stories are important, that their
Hmm.
artifacts are important, and they want to tell their stories now. Again, people like, I didn't value your wife threw this away, like, whatever, like it's not important. Now people are cherishing their own histories, wanting to be known and seen, whether they're the dancers or the bouncers or the club owners, etc. People are seeing that. And now there's more and more documentaries, Vince Lawrence documentaries, these different types of things. And I really feel like, because I don't feel like that was happening in a robust way before we got started.
I don't think so either. They actually just created the warehouse page from the one on Randolph, and it's so amazing now because to see some of the DJs, the pictures that people are bringing back, and like, oh my God, there's Armando and there's Joe Smooth in the basement.
Amando.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, and Emmanuel still has the banners from inside the warehouse.
Nice,
And, it's
nice.
so, these pictures are being brought back up. So it's just like, oh my God, I remember this. I remember that. And I remember this. So it's good. Social media is probably the second greatest thing made since house music
All
because it
right.
gives it's so many different avenues have been opened more because you're able to get the opportunity to say, hey, I remember I met you in 1984, and this, that, and the other, and so.
The ability to share and unify
Hmm.
using
Absolutely,
technology is really
absolutely.
great. Although someone was just, of course, jumping on Zuckerberg because, of course, it also spreads hate and all these other things.
Well,
So
I
they
mean,
were
yeah,
like,
I
it's a
mean,
good thing and there's some
it's a
bad
double
things.
edged
Right,
sword. It is,
exactly.
it is. I mean, the freedom of speech is that freedom of speech. You have to
Exactly.
take the good with the bad, but if you acknowledge all the good, you're doing well, and being able to see different avenues of ways to say, you know what, I remember when I went to this, and somebody pulls up a flyer and posts that flyer on Facebook, you're like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I remember I was there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and house heads because we've been partying forever.
Right.
It's actually real hard. It's actually real hard to remember everything that you've done.
That's true.
Chosen few parties or chosen few picnics. Yeah, you can remember that. I remember when Stephanie Mills sang. Da, 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 da. I remember when so and so played there this time. Minute Masters at Work was there. It's just little small things. But the other stuff is, nobody ever talks about the House of Blues anymore, or when Little Lewis used to do his parties here.
Mhm.
Those these parties were mega parties. I mean, you walk in and 700 people are in a room together, just doing, enjoying, and loving house music. And a lot of times, it gets overlooked. So social media is the avenue to remember everything that you've ever done.
It really is.
I mean, it's the
It's a blessing. I
absolutely.
think it is a blessing. And people, again, I think there's a lot of people giving these guys a lot of heat right now because of, voting and things like that. But I mean, relatives, friends, making sure people are alive, your old neighbors. I
Hmm.
mean, it's just a blessing to be able to know people are alive. If you don't want to be seen, you don't have to be seen, but you can check out other things. Information is powerful like
Absolutely.
history is. And to have that information, you don't have the information on great things that are going on, grants that are being out there, money that you can get,
Hmm.
healthcare. That if you don't have that information, then you don't even know what you're missing. So I feel like to have this information, I think is great. Technology, you're right, is great. I'm so happy we had it during COVID. We got to hear music and listen to DJs and look at DJs. But now we're going to take it to the next level and figure out how we elevate, sort of what we're doing. I haven't seen a lot of people elevate their same Twitch show or their same whatever show, and I'm like, we really have to do that
Well,
now.
see, that's what I do for mine is I change my background. So you're not going to see the same background next week. So again, it's because it's not reinvention. It's just progression of who you are.
Exactly.
So yeah, and you have to find ways, right? You have to find ways to, create a different shine that you probably didn't have 5 years ago, so people can, say, oh, well, you know what? He's still doing it. Yeah, he's still doing it.
Still doing it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're gonna elevate this show for the end of the year and for 2022. And DJ Rocky, welcome to the Vintage Household family.
Thank you. It
And
is a great honor. I just want you to know, I don't know the other host as much as I've always been a fan of Lori. So I mean,
well, Angela, if you're only in love with Lori, that's as much as that's as good as you get.
oh no, I honor and appreciate every DJ that plays, but I mean only because.
I only like Lori.
But
No,
but yeah,
Lori's
no.
the best.
Oh, Lori is absolutely wonderful.
She's the best, and she's so talented.
Yes, she is.
It's a blessing to have her
Yes,
as a
she
host.
is.
So knowledgeable and very kind. So next week, I'm not sure again if DJ Rocky wants to come through. He's welcome to come through. It is Thanksgiving Eve, so I'm not sure. I think it's Kevin McFall. I'm not sure if Kevin's going to come in next week, but you will see something, a replay of one of our favorite shows, or maybe we'll record a new show and just play it on that day. But I don't think we'll be here in the studio, and I'm not sure if the studio will be up anyway. But we might come in and just try something,
right?
Just to see what happens. You're welcome to if you want.
Okay.
Well, the Vintage House Show is from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock every Wednesday here on WNUR.org, 89.3 FM and HD1 in Evanston. And we look forward to seeing you all in some capacity next week. And for the holiday season, we're going to bring you some interesting heat. Watch for us on WCIU in the next coming weeks. We've got a really interesting special in collaboration with them, and we'll keep you posted on what's going down. DJ Rocky, I want you to give us the call on that again. You are listening to what?
Where is it at?
WNUR.
WNUR 89.3 FM and HD1 Evanston, Chicago.
All right. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Ernie. Peace, love.
Peace.
So on air, we should have been able to hear that under us a little bit. But if you had on your things, you could hear. But so bring them. But sometimes these aren't working. Like sometimes I think that one's the only one that really works.
Okay.
Everything, you never know what's gonna work. But let me just tell you, I've been doing this since at least back here since 2014 or 2015. And I was a kid DJ when I was a kid here. I've never seen anything like this. Our transmitter's gone down before, got it back up. These really don't make a difference. I've never seen this whole board go out like this. So this is alarming, and I can see how I can stop some people. They were like, "What the hell?"
Right.
We were getting all these emails like in the middle, like, "What the hell?"
I don't know what's going on. Right.
Exactly. And I was looking at it, I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I was like, "Oh, this doesn't look good." But I figured someone figured it out. So that we could do it. So this is what will happen. FYI. You will come until you're FCC certified, which we will get you certified at some point, maybe 2022.
Okay.
You will come and get this card from me.
Okay.
And this card lets you, certainly during the holiday, know when you're during the holiday, these doors are all locked. You just put it on the thing and it'll open up, and I'll have you do it on the way out.
Okay.
And so next time you come, we'll have to have someone with you, because I know you don't know how to call. So I can barely show you anything either, but clearly you know how to just turn. This is on the air. This is not on the air. This is a thing called Zeta, which is also important. So anytime you leave and no one is here, this is on. Okay. So we have to put this on in just a little. I'll put it on now.
Well, it's like it's on anyway.
Right, it's on, but it's not on the air because I've got it down low.
Okay.
But this is CD 1. So I've got something playing this one right here.
Okay.
See, it's moving. Everything is labeled. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can figure out what things are going. The problem is, it's supposed to be labeled up here. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then you're able to choose. Like again, if we want to put those mics on over there, this little button just since this is mic 2, mic 3, it'll say like mic, room 2 or studio
Okay.
2, something like that. All of these things are labeled somewhere, so it's not difficult. You can figure it out generally.
Right.
But the mics, as long as you're talking on the air, putting it on
Definitely.
red,
Mm-hmm.
then you're good. And again, when you're on air, it goes off generally, but you can hear it when you plug in. You can hear yourself and what's on air. You can hear
Okay.
yourself.
Okay.
Oh shoot, Justin, did you turn this off?